Hi, Space Cab. It's Colin here. This is a bit of a different podcast. Eli and I are both ardent gardeners, and the weather's good. So this week we just sort of sat out in the backyard with the birds and just talked and drank a few beers. Uh, Hence, the rambling is mainly talk about science fiction anthology I'm reading entitled The Best Science Fiction of the Year. It's a collection which Neil Clark, the editor, thinks is the best science fiction of the last couple of years. It's copyrighted in 2022. So the stories, all the stories have lots of pandemics, AI, drones, and aliens. As this is just a couple of friends sitting out in the backyard and charting, you're going to hear birds, helicopters, sirens, lots of lost trains of thoughts. There are a bunch of gaps. So here are the stories from the sci-fi compilation that we referenced. The first story referenced is called Hanai. That's the one I say is probably Hawaiian, and it is indeed written by Gregory Norman Bossert, who I believe lives in San Francisco, not Hawaii. So what? And The Equations of the Dead is written by Anne Omayela. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that name. But if you want to follow up on some of that sci-fi reading, do check out that previously referenced book. Thank you very much. I've always felt threatened by authority.
That is deeply fair. I feel that.
What, being threatened by authority?
No, that to have that to feel an edge against it, because if authority is wrongful, then it's really wrongful.
No, I mean that's part of my good Port Colborne WASP socialization, to be respectful and afraid of authority.
Correct. That's how I feel.
Whether it's a minister or a cop or a teacher.
Yes.
They have the power. Yeah, I think the first time I really felt threatened was playing along the rail lines in Port Colborne. When I lived on Hampton Avenue, there was a rail line that serviced the Canada cement plant, and when it was still happening before they blew it up. And there were trains running through there on a regular basis, all sorts of trains going through Port Colborne. It was an industrial town. And it was with easy walking distance from my house. It was like 5 minutes walk to the train tracks. We used to take train to school sometimes. It was only like a 15-minute walk. We'd just jump on the train, because they went through the town, and they went very slowly through. It was a residential area.
So
they went through Port Colborne. They had to hang a right, or they went over a rail bridge or something like that. So no, they didn't come barreling through, and it was quite possible to. Oh God, it's 10-9, but there's a train coming by. Okay, and running and jumping on a train and riding a train to high school. It was highly frowned upon, but we all did it. But we played in the train yards. There were trains, there were diesels parked there, there were boxcars. You could climb in boxcars. And
were there hobos?
Were there what?
Hobos?
Hobos? No.
Name? I see.
Not that I ever saw. Yeah, I mean,
there must have been. at some point.
But no, it was Port Colborne. I'm sure there were hobos who ran through, but
they wouldn't stay there.
There weren't a lot of homeless people. There weren't encampments or anything like that. Just an industrial area, but it was semi-policed by Canadian National Railroad Police, and that was my first bust by authority, where a boxcar is a really, really good place to play ball hockey. And we just discovered it. It was like, hey man, we should have a hockey game in here.
No.
They're pretty big, eh? I mean, the boxcar is like the size of the backyard here, an empty boxcar. And like
that is the dimension of hockey.
Yeah, well, it's a small hockey rink.
It's a small hockey rink, but you're only like, what, 3 of you in there?
No, there were probably 10 of us.
10 of yes. So I guess
but we were used to playing. We were used to playing hockey in people's garages, ball hockey in garages or in driveways and stuff like this.
Right, yes.
Yeah, sometimes on the street too. Of course, we played ball
lucky.
hockey on side streets, but this was a perfectly flat, smooth surface.
Yeah.
And it was a great place. And while we were in there having a good old ball hockey game, a baton sort of knocked on the side of it, and there were 2 CN Railroad cops with notepads.
More scary.
And they took down all our names.
Give us your info, and you have to give it up. Did you feel
I don't know
authority?
that. I don't remember my phone number. Did they take our addresses too? I don't know. I mean, if they'd asked for
Yes.
my bank account number, I would have given it to them.
Sorry.
Here's my social insurance numbers are 2, officer.
Please, you can arrest me if this has happened.
Sorry, I done wrong.
Yeah. Help.
But yeah, that was one of my first scary experience with authority, and it worked real good. They had uniforms.
Bob Lazar,
Yeah.
who, the little birds, a contentious figure, said, and it's a bit terrifying, but other people have said it somewhat too, and Peter said something smart about it, and he said during his time at Area 51, he saw a strange big book, and he got to look at it. I don't know how that happened. It's a book about all religions of the world, and and then there's a part where it says what the aliens feel towards us. And he said they see us as containers that we have to keep, and they monitor us to keep it nice and clean and make sure that we look after our containers. And Peter said he thinks that is our DNA, and I think others have also thought that as well.
I think the writer is probably Hawaiian.
Cool.
But has certainly has an understanding of Hawaiian lingo and mythology and all that stuff. But there is it's a near future. It's not even terribly well defined whether it's new or fairly far future, but there are 5 known starships in the universe as far as the people on Earth know. Mm-hmm. There's the Sisters, their ship.
It's got to be the 7 Sisters.
But there are 5, and our hero
yes.
has ridden on 4 of them. There's something special about her. We don't know exactly why.
Okay.
But she's in direct contact with an alien who is the last of his species.
Gosh.
He's the last one, and he calls himself Wandering Willie.
Oh.
And he's crossed the universe to find this woman on Hawaii because he knows that there's something about the hula, Hawaiian dances,
Yes.
that are really, really... He is an underwater creature, has evolved on an underwater world. He's got fins and flippers and stuff like that. But he and his tribe, which is now dead, had dances really, really similar to the hula dance. And he's come to Earth to find about the hula dance and find out about universal dance, because dance is his thing, dance is her thing, and they want to collaborate. But the big puzzling question here is, how come the creatures around the universe that they've discovered all have about this, like the intelligent creatures, all have the same basic body pattern. This guy doesn't look like a gray. Okay.
Yes.
He looks more like a porpoise.
Yes.
He's got frills on his head. He's got nostrils on the back here, but he's got nostrils, and he's got fins, and that's one of the mysteries that everybody has encountered. They're not.
Yes, it's USOs. Yes.
Yeah,
And
there's something really, really
crafts
useful
comes out.
about two legs, 2 arms, and a bunch of fingers. Man, oh man, does that work.
It works. On the other hand, the great whale, one of the whales came out onto land for a while and said, forget about it, went back in. And how much water on the earth?
Well, 3/4 of it is water, I believe, at the surface.
Yeah. And Richard Dolan, the historian, is working on a new book about USOs. Oh gosh.
No,
Sorry.
my ex-wife Debbie's mother worked for the USO. That was United States Overseas. The USO was a song and dance troupe. They used to travel around and entertain the troops in the Philistines. I think that's not the right word.
Okay, Philippines, perhaps. Oh my gosh.
That was a Freudian flip, I think.
Yes, same. Mathematician. That was most helpful.
Hey, speaking of mathematicians, the last that sci-fi book, the best of, and it's actually 2021-22.
Okay.
So it's fairly current, and there's lots of COVID and lots of pandemics, but what there is a lot of is mathematics.
Yes.
Sci-fi. Sci-fi has, the most current crop. There's an awful lot of, the mathematician guy who we
Christopher Lee Jenkins, Washington, near Olympia. Math.
Yeah, mathematics figures heavily in at least half of what I'm reading. I'm 3/4 the way through right now. Again, don't remember the author, but he sounds. It's a well-researched thing, and there's always a paragraph, like Joe Blow is a professor of mathematics at Manchester University who also writes short fiction, loves fishing, his favorite color is blue. And I'm like, oh, fuck
Yes.
that. Give me the
Yes, yes.
story, okay? And then sometimes when it's good, I'll go back and I'll
I'll
reread.
have a look.
But the one I'm reading right now is sounds like it's set in London, England, 100 years in the future. There's a lot of slang in there. They use in it.
In it.
You know that? Isn't
In
it?
it. Oh,
It's sort of
in it.
Cockney.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, in it. In it.
Yeah, the usage is sort of expanded. It's used all the time. It means like, yeah, right, okay.
In
You
it.
know what I
In
mean?
it. In it.
You know, those guys are a corrupt bunch of bastards. In it,
In it.
you know, which is to me very, very London,
London's
South England Cockney type of stuff. And there are certain terms, you know.
Druids, London,
Yeah.
power spot, planet. That's why pop music was their biggest export.
England?
Correct. At some point.
I was walking down the street the other day singing, Ferry, cross the Mersey, 'cause this land's the land I love, and here I'll stay. Was that Jerry and the Pacemakers, I think?
could be. Oh my gosh, what a strange name. But yes.
And the Pacemakers.
I mean, it's tough.
Well,
That's
I
tough.
don't think that would have been a reference to a medical pacemaker. I
It's
think
just actually people had that name, and forgive me.
I'm a pacemaker, man. I'm setting the pacemaker.
All right.
No, I can't.
Oh, maybe. Okay. Wow. Anyway, mysterious.
Jerry and the defibrillators.
Oh.
No, I don't think there was. Maybe it was. Maybe it was super hip, and I just didn't know.
Clear.
I never.
Clear. Clear. Boom. Clear. Upsetting. Wait, I did.
Do you know Henry Heimlich? Heimlich?
Maneuvering?
Heilig, I think. He's a
Heilig?
bass player. He played in Hughes' Room a whole bunch of times. He's a really, really wonderful bass player and a really, really sweet, lovely, outgoing guy. But I believe it's Henry Heilig, and he has a band called the Heilig Maneuver.
That's wonderful. Wait, I mean, own it. If you're that close to it, own it. Love it. But wait a minute, where did math and the aliens intersect then, Colin? Is that what's happening? Or was that not completely...
No, we were going on about the most
watch.
recent story that I'm 3/4 of the way through. We're only like 2 or 3 pages left. It's not a
Your
long, short
math
story.
reader.
But it's called, I believe it's called Equations of the Dead. So again, it's mathematical. And
Yes.
there's some autistic kid who's got an implant. He's not quite there. But he has found a way to communicate via his interface, screen, whatever, future stuff, with the smart AI. There's a bunch of AI out in the cloud somewhere hovering, hooked together machines that are way smarter than humanity.
Yes.
But they sort of detach themselves from humanity, and they don't care about humanity anymore. They're too smart. The guys on Earth, who are the rich people, our story is set on the moon, and they're poor and
Yes.
scrambling along.
Love the moon.
Okay.
Weird thing to say. Yes.
But the people on Earth, they've got the capital, so one of those short slang words. They have the cappy to be able to pay for the service of this cloud AI, whereas all the people on the moon have is the dumb AI. The dumb AI that turns the heat on and turns the heat off and regulates the water, the stuff you need.
Yes.
But this kid has found a way, and the
To steal
the
the
super
good AI?
smart AI, cloud AI, is working for the rich guys, the Plutos on Earth, making money. Yeah, it's a plutocracy. The guys on Earth are rich, and they're just taking everything that they can, and the guys on the moon are poor and starving and stuff like that. But the kid has figured out that the really smart AI doesn't care about making money.
It doesn't
They've gone
care
beyond
about...
that. They just want to solve problems.
Come on.
So,
That's
and
utopian.
okay, we'll solve problems. Give us a few more power plants or whatever. Because they're pretty well self-sufficient at this time. They don't even need more power plants. But they're like a challenge, and the kid has started talking to them about stuff that's like, wow, that's really interesting. And what his proposal to them is, tell me how to not just create virtual human beings, but how to bring back dead people.
Wow.
To make, show me the formula. What's the code to be able to not just like take you and upload you to the cloud and have a virtual you. No. What if I want to talk to my grandmother?
Yeah, specifically
Can we do
one.
that?
Yeah, I want that upload.
So,
is it an upload? Okay.
And the thing is, there's not a lot of mathematics. There's almost no mathematics in it, because the guy who's investigating this and saying, like, you shouldn't be doing that, man. You're breaking the rules here. That authority figure, I'm going to bust you. This kid is completely unafraid. It's like
Right. Was.
But there are powerful forces and money at work, and he is going to get busted, and he is going to be co-opted is my prediction. Or he'll maybe talk to the AIs, and they'll kill everybody on Earth. Lord knows where it's going. It's really, really good. But again, but it's mathematics. It's the equation.
Some people say,
we have
that's
those
why we live in the Matrix.
Sorry?
Some people have proposed that we live in a matrix.
Oh,
that
yes,
we are
that's
already we are just the hologram of what we think we are, or something.
Yes, that's come up in what I've read of the best.
Wow.
There's a fair bit of that. There's a fair bit of.
We are living in the age of Aquarius. That does mean they are ruled by Uranus, however you prefer to conclude words.
You say Uranus, I say Uranus.
Yes.
You say tinnitus, I say tinnitus.
Yeah.
Actually, it's tinnitus. I just read something about that the other day. That the experts pronounce it tinnitus.
Tinnitus?
Rather than tinnitus. I've always said
either way,
it's one of the
not fine.
If you say, hey, I got tinnitus.
Tonight.
People know what you mean,
Yeah, I
There was a mispronunciation. A mondegreen. I think it would be a mondegreen.
A mondegreen? What did you say? What say?
A mondegreen?
A mondegreen.
That's you should know that word.
I want to.
No, it's a really, really. It's.
I tried a little.
It's usually applied to music.
A mondegreen. See,
Okay.
I'm gonna fail.
Okay, Colin, lesson on mondegreen.
Okay. Mondegreen.
Yes.
Mondegreen.
Okay.
And what is it?
It refers to misheard song lyrics.
Is this part of the Mandela effect? Oh my
No,
gosh.
this is part of
Misunderstood
either
song
bad
lyrics.
hearing or too many beers or something along those lines, okay?
This is fascinating, though. Misunderstanding.
Okay, the two
Yes.
most common,
Oh, I'm gonna love this.
the
Yes.
two most mondegreens that you're probably familiar with are "Excuse me while I kiss this guy."
Oh, do-
Okay,
okay. Whoa.
that's misheard lyrics because that's what Jimmy wasn't talking.
He never.
Jimmy wasn't.
He wasn't.
He was Jimmy. He had his pronouns straight.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yes.
And
Word.
there's a bathroom on the right.
No way.
Yes.
It got to that level? Okay, that's
Go
so
on, get
disappointing.
people, and I've done that myself when I've misinterpreted, you know. My
No, I agree.
friggin' the wonderful. She was great at Mariposa. Her father was a famous poet, and she's a great writer. Her name will come to me, but it doesn't matter.
Yes,
But
sir.
one of the first things is Lucinda Williams. Is her name. Passionate Kisses. Okay, do you know that song?
Yes, I do. I put all of them on my playlist.
Okay.
I have to listen to it alone.
Well, the first couple of times I heard it, I heard the words as, it's the chorus. Shouldn't I have this? Shouldn't I have this? Shouldn't I have all of this? And passionate kisses. Okay,
Right.
And that's those are the real words.
Yes.
But I heard it as
Yes.
shit happens, shit happens, and passionate kisses. Okay, and that's a mondegreen.
Understand. This is a wonderful word,
And
which I think basically anyone could relate to. Many.
we all
Surely.
mondegreen all the time,
Certainly
and
will.
it comes from
Because-
according to folk legend, mondegreen comes from somebody misinterpreting an old British folk song. It may have been a child ballad. I don't know exactly where it comes from, but whoever wrote down the lyrics for this, I just heard this really, really cool tune. Here are the lyrics. And it's called Lady Mondegreen. I don't know who Lady Mondegreen was, but
Come on,
man,
really?
it's a great song. And the person wrote down.
Did you make up that part, or is that part? Was that the Lady Mondegreen? Was that true, or did you make that part up?
I'm telling you the truth
Oh,
as
I'm
far
putting
as
lady
as
in the
far as
book.
I
That looks-
know it.
All right, boss.
But
That's amazing.
the actual lyrics in the tune,
Yes.
the guy
Was
or
were-
girl had misheard was, and laid him on the green.
And laid him on the
Okay,
green.
so it's some
I
type
think
of.
I know that.
It's
oh,
like it's probably
it
a
is an
murder
old-
ballad. You know,
Could be.
she
We'll have to.
she
Oh my-
slit his throat and laid him on the green. And somebody heard she slit his throat and Lady Mondegreen. Oh, it was a double murder.
Yeah. Oh,
I
great. Sure.
don't know.
Fair.
Anyway,
fair.
here endeth the lesson.
Wow.
But isn't that a useful word?
Awesome.
Mondegreen. Ed Sullivan asked the Rolling Stones, I think, to change "Let's spend the night together" to "Let's spend some time together."
Yes.
Okay. So I mean,
I-
you couldn't talk about a lot of stuff, and whatever show Joni was appearing on, the song she was going to sing was "Gallery."
Gallery.
All
Oh.
right, no, God, I'm going to try and
Okay.
the last thing I should try and do is sing Joni Mitchell songs.
Well, nobody's.
When, man, she had such an incredible range, eh? When I first saw your gallery, I like the ones of ladies. Um, that was what that's
Ladies of
what
the
she sang.
Canyon?
I like the ones
One
of ladies.
ladies. The ones
Okay,
of ladies. Okay.
but Ed Sullivan
No.
or whomever thought she had
Blush.
said, I like the wombs of ladies. And it's like, we don't want you to go
That's
talking about
weird
ladies'
disturbing.
wombs.
That's
This is a.
how
This
you
is.
bring Space Cab always back into it.
Sorry?
No, you
Wombs?
did. Yes.
Joni
So,
Mitchell was impregnated by
well,
an
by
alien.
And Ed is implicated.
No,
Oh my
it's implicated
gosh.
that Ed Sullivan had ear damage.
And an astoundingly large head. Which, I mean, that defo alien. He's not around to yell at me at the moment. I'm gonna have trouble tonight. Oh dear, Topo Chicho.
Topo Gigio?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Space Cab passengers, we said that was going to be a bit of a ramble, and indeed it was. We live in a fascinating universe, and there are many ways to experience it. We'll experience some more of it sometime soon. Thank you.